In this video, we'll discuss the features on Princess Diana's face that pointed to an open and accessible nature, as well as life force depletion. Enjoy. In today's face reading video, I will be reading Princess Diana. So, very tragic story. August 31st, 1997, killed in a car crash. It was a death felt all around the world. A lot of people loved Princess Diana. So I had some subscribers ask that I read here, so I'm doing that. If you are new to my channel, welcome, but please go up here and watch the 5-minute crash course face reading video. If you've never seen a face reading, some of the terms I use might get you lost. And if you have no framework for the theory and like what this is and what it isn't, that's a very important video to watch. So again, if you're new, pause this, go watch that. If you are finding value in my content, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, leave comments, good ones and bad ones. Share this with people who you think will find it interesting. That's how my channel grows, and I really appreciate it. When I do face readings of famous people, I like to pick a few key things. So this is not reflective of what a private session would look like between me and you, should you ever decide to get one, but I want to take key features and use key features as educational talking points. So the first thing that I'm drawn to, and I was always drawn to, were Princess Diana's eyes. Big, watery eyes. And when the eyes are big, open, and expressive like this, there's a few things in terms of face reading metrics that we want to think about and consider. For one, they're the gateway, the portal of entry to the soul, the consciousness, the mind of the person. So there is kind of an open book quality. People with large eyes are usually accessible. A lot of times people with big eyes will find themselves at the store and the stranger in the store is telling them their life story. Like the big-eyed people oftentimes get talked to quite a bit. And there's an openness, and openness, an open door is more welcoming than a closed one. So Princess Diana, I know just from reading about her, not being psychic, not being predictive, she had this impact in the world. A lot of people wanted to be around her, to be near her. There was an openness to her. Now, the other thing is that I noticed about her eyes, because when a feature is dominant, you really want to pay attention to the metrics. You want to look at that feature and say, okay, if it's dominant, it's big, and it shows up, we need to pay attention to everything that's happening within that feature. She's got something that's not favorable called Sampaku eyes. Specifically, there is Yin Sampaku and Yang Sampaku. Yin Sampaku is when the 3 whites at the bottom show here. And so the 2 whites, okay, if a head is level, white here and white here on the outsides, but then the second you go down, there's a third big one. Those are called the 3 whites. And you don't want 3 whites above the eyes like this or down below showing consistently. The upper one like this, the Charles Manson eyes, that's Yang Sampaku. And if you want to know more about Sampaku, you can go watch the video up here that I made talking about this. But big overriding metric with Sampaku eyes is that life force is leaking. So by the book definition, if you read about this, it talks about potentially if the person experiencing early death, a person being in social, familial, or romantic relationships where they are being taken from and depleted excessively. And sometimes when they don't even know it's happening, they don't even know that they're being robbed or, being depleted, but it does happen. So if you look at Princess Diana's life terrain, again, me not being psychic, me not being predictive, me saying, here's what we know about her, here's what the book says, there is some congruency here. What Princess Diana went through in terms of being married within the royal family, how she was viewed, how she was treated, the struggles she went through, there was a depletion through her where she found herself within the context of her life terrain. There was depletion without question. And all you have to do is listen to the interviews of her talking about the struggles and how much she felt unheard in that world. So when I see this, okay, that Yin Sampaku on her, it's like face reading theory says she had that going against her technically. And even when her face is level here, like in this picture, you can still see the 3 whites. So people ask, well, anyone can make their eyes Sampaku, right? If I do this, they go Sampaku. If I tilt up, they go Sampaku. You want to think that you have to think about, yes, any of us can give ourselves the Sampaku eyes by tilting down. What you want to think about, though, is you want to pay attention to the big picture. If it stands out to you that consistently you're seeing the bottom whites of someone's eyes all the time, whether it's through intentional positioning or even when they're neutral, you can see it. You just want to pay attention to that. One way you can frame this and think about this is that in the context of combat, martial arts, if any of you have studied martial arts, if you square up with someone or you're about to spar, everyone does this. Okay, you watch UFC fighters, they drop like this. When we do this, the head tilts, the Sampaku eyes show up, and what that's pointing to at the symbolic kind of like big archetypal rhythm levels is that you're about to get into something that's going to deplete you. Fighting sucks. Like, it's not fun. I hate fighting. And I spent so many years studying fighting arts, but I hate fighting. Like, I hate that kind of physical confrontation. But I studied it for years. And the reality is, if you're about to get into a physical conflict, there's a depletion emotionally, physically, spiritually. Fighting sucks. And some crazy people do love it. But for most of us who are sane and have a conscience, fighting blows. And there's a depletion that you're going to engage. And when a person is posturing and they're not in the context of fighting, you want to think that the eyes are leaking this way. This is not a conducive way to go through life posturally either. We don't want to have our head tilted down. It compresses the throat. It's not good for the airway. Energetically, it says that it stifles the voice. It's not good for us to be doing this. It puts us in a position to deplete. And so it's just some ideas to think about. When I watched her interviews, when they were talking to her, the vast, like 70 to 80% of the time when she's talking and she's responding, she's always got her head down and tucked. And there's something defensive about that. There's something that like I'm literally sitting on or hiding or pulling in. So she already had naturally Sampaku eyes. And with that posturing, it exacerbates the syndrome, if you want to think of it. Like, it's not a syndrome, but it exacerbates the dynamics of Sampaku. And so you have to remember, why does this matter? Because in the context of face reading, the eyes are a projector and a receiver. They project light and they receive light. It goes in and out. And so the light comes out of the eyes, and when the whites show, it's sort of like a floodlight leaking, on the top or bottom. So it's not favorable, but she did carry this. The other thing I noticed was her lack of wrinkles. And she died at 36, very tragically. But the lack of wrinkling shows a deficiency in fire. When we smile and we don't get smile lines and things don't crinkle and get up there, it's not that she didn't wrinkle at all, but they were diminished. And that's one of the metrics that I work with when I'm reading faces of people. I'll ask them, like, if they don't have many wrinkles, what's your relationship to joy, spontaneity, having a good time, just cutting loose, getting with your friends? Just, are you loving life? And if not, why? Given what I know about her and what she went through, there was a lack of joy in her life terrain. So, how much of it is nature versus nurture, hard to say. The last point that I will say about her that I thought was sad, but she has a beautiful nose, especially from profile. Really strong, prominent nose, even with the small little bump right here. And anytime we see like topographical elevation on a feature, it's like a surplus of form and energy there. The nose is indicative of the 40s. And so by face reading standards, had she not had this tragic accident, she was geared up to have very good 40s. So very unfortunate. But these are my highlighted, cream off the top thoughts about Princess Diana. If you've got questions, please let me know. And if there's someone else you'd like me to read, please let me know. Take care.